Hello and welcome to this exciting collaboration. I'm Paula Carter.
And I'm Sarah Jane Slocum.
Today is about defining how we create meaningful and lasting change. Change is not about new tools or processes, it's about equipping people with clarity, confidence, and purpose. And by combining structured change management with evidence-based insight, we focus our energy on improvements that matter the most. So the objective is simple, really. It's helping everyone move in the same direction at the same time towards a stronger and more capable organisation. As I said, this is a really exciting collaboration, and I'm really looking forward to working with Sarah Jane. We have equally had experiences across a number of different organisations around change and data-driven change. Sarah, you've got an example to share of one that you had.
I do, yes. And so one of the key things that you have to tackle, I think, and Paula, you will correct me if I'm wrong, but with any change management program is why are we doing this?
Mm.
And so data can really help you with that. And I had a client who had their data scattered all over the place. They only managed to pull it together annually for their reports. And and so the, we went through a change program, and my part of that was to gather their data up so that they could get a monthly reporting cycle. Now, as I did that, I uncovered that their processes had broken down so much that they hadn't actually received about £18,000 worth of sales invoices they'd sent out. So there's one reason of why we're doing this change as we go along, and data will always uncover things like that as you go. And then in the end, once it was all up and running, the trustees were able then to speak more confidently about what they were doing and the impact that they were making. They were able to attract more funding and attract more trustees who were interested in guiding the ship. So here, 4 years later, they've quadrupled their income, they've quadrupled their impact, they've almost quadrupled their board of directors too to a healthy 12 or 13. So yeah, it's this is why being able to look at the data and say, oh, this is the impact it had. That's why that's why we did it.
That's
Really
amazing.
helps.
It's a really good story actually, that. And 4 years on. Wow, that's fantastic. One that I had is where data was already being used for productivity. And the sales were doing very well with sales, this organization that I was working with. But there was a high volume of customer complaints. So whilst they were driving the targets around the productivity, they'd lost sight of the customer experience. So it's around looking at the quality of the order fulfillment. Um, what I had the resources and teams to help track the customer journeys. And it was really interesting because we could pull together historic data. And what that historic data did was to help drive insight into knowing where the blocks were coming, where the orders were not progressing. And also we were able to determine what lead times needed to be for each stage of that order journey. So by identifying those, we could automate triggers that would flag up and tell us exactly where that order was coming close to jeopardy, and then be able to interject, deal with the order, come out and allow the order to progress.
Mm.
So because there were thousands and thousands of orders, we couldn't actually have thousands and thousands of people to monitor those orders. So the data enabled us to create automation
Mhm.
in the right places and to focus on the right areas. And the customer complaints were reduced and productivity wasn't affected. And it was great because we could use that to translate that to the people that needed to be equipped to understand why we were driving that change. So yeah, I very much vote for data-driven change, very much so.
That's a fantastic story too.
Well, equally justifiable change, isn't it? Yeah,
Indeed,
it's
indeed.
um, it's definitely. I think when you have justifiable change, you're more likely to have people that are on that journey with you.
Mm,
Because if you can actually sort of translate, what it is that we're wanting to do, why we're wanting to do it, how we're going to do it, and when we're going to do it,
mm,
and that all creates that clarity. It helps to drive the focus. I think it's incredibly important because it's not just around what needs to be changed, but it's the resources that are needed as well,
mm,
and the data can help drive that. And guess together, my kind of rule of thumb is, first of all, understand what it is, act upon it, measure it, and adjust it if you need to. And it gives you that agile opportunity as well when delivering change. And this can be scalable, repeatable, and sustainable. But what it also does is stops the firefighting.
mm,
It helps to focus on improvements that really truly matter, and that data does help, doesn't it? It really helps to drive that, and the data helps to separate assumptions as well when driving change from facts. And
and that is so important. Let's just call that out for a minute
yeah,
because every plan is based on so many assumptions, and then this is where reality comes against your
yeah,
plan and changes it.
it does.
And so yes, if you can start with as few assumptions as possible. I mean, obviously zero is not possible, but with your data driven
Yeah,
with your a data-based change management program,
yeah.
then it just stands you in better stead the whole way through, doesn't it?
Totally does. Totally does. And I think the people that are leading the change as well can increase their credibility.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And we can't have all the answers, and you can't if you're basing it on assumptions. But when you're basing it on data, and as you rightly say, the accurate data, it really does. It empowers those people that are leading the change and the people that are on the journey as well.
Absolutely.
So I just absolutely am a full advocate for data-driven change. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, one thing we want to talk about is how when you use data, you can align everybody so that you're all
Mm,
rowing in the same direction, basically. You know why you're doing it, you know what you're doing, you know where you're going. You know that it's purposeful. You're not just trying the new shiny toy for the sake of it because,
very true.
excuse me, because the founder got distracted like like a deer in the headlights or something, right? You know
Yeah.
that there's a reason. Um, and you're able to and the structure that it helps provide is really, really important here. I think
Mhm.
it, when people know what to expect, because you've used data to create your plan, to flesh out the program,
Mm,
um, it's much easier for them to come along for on the ride with you.
yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And it's not to be feared, is it? Because I kind of see it as a compass
Mhm.
driving that direction. And I'm just excited. I think it's great having this opportunity to work with you, Sarah Jane, because any organization that is really, really key and has that data, and they don't necessarily have to have it in I guess really the format that would help me, because that's what you would be doing, wouldn't it, really? You'd
Absolutely.
be pulling that together,
Hmm.
and I can pull the narrative from the data that you provide,
Hmm.
that you've actually worked on.
And I'm very keen to work with you on this because you're bringing in that element of the people portion, so much better than I ever can. Um, so yeah, this is a really um, brilliant. I'm really excited about this.
Me too. Me too.
Um, yeah, here
We hope that, didn't we?
what we really want to emphasize is that you need the accurate data. You need that to both make sure that you're going in the right direction, that you're going to a place that's worth going to, and also to build your credibility. And there is so much bad data out there. When you're not a data analyst, I think you're not really aware of that. But
Mm.
when your data isn't clean, when it's bad, when it's filled with outdated information or bits that don't apply to the question at hand, you end up with, as it says here, misinformed decisions. You end up making bad decisions, and we can see those littering the history of bankrupt companies. They
Mm.
infamously so. So yeah, really, we want to make sure that you have accurate data, and so that's part of what I'm here to do.
Just going to say that's going to be your bit there. Absolutely. No, that's fantastic. And this is again, I guess, really this great opportunity of partnership here, isn't it? Because change is driven by, well, I believe it's data and through people. And as I mentioned earlier, you providing that data, I would pull out a narrative
Hmm.
that then can be translated and communicated to people
Hmm.
that are on that change journey, or may be just interested in that journey. Not everybody's on that at the same time, but the thing is with the data, it can help inform change management at what point those individuals need to be involved, depending on what data we're actually using. Um, but I do think this is going to be a great learning opportunity to help businesses to understand how the two can come together as well, which will then help to drive continual improvement. And that ultimately would build a foundation for organizations to grow and for people to grow as well. And to have that inquisitiveness that they start to ask why. Why are we doing it? And what is it we're going to do? How are we going to do it? And when are we going to do it?
Absolutely. And I want to say one of the key reasons why Paula and I specifically are partnering up is because we both have a real firm belief in the importance of people.
Yeah.
So I don't believe that the data should decide for you. This isn't a computer says no, we don't live in that world. The people are the most important part of this.
Mm,
And so yes, we're both wholeheartedly there.
absolutely. Absolutely. And then, as we've said, communication, is really, really important that, once you've got that narrative, is understand the language that needs to be used, who you're going to communicate to, how you're going to do it, and when you're going to do it. Communications shouldn't just be a one-off. They shouldn't just be the start and the end. They should be continually throughout. And even if there's not a lot to say, it's okay. But providing people feel that they have an opportunity to be listened to, an
Mhm.
opportunity to get an update and progress. It's better to find out from the source than third hand,
Mhm.
because I think that's when you start to lose engagement.
Mhm.
And as we've said throughout this is completely people centric. Our approach to this, whilst the data will help to drive and inform, it's the people that ultimately need to be driving that change. What the data will do is be able to provide the evidence and the justification for that. And that in turn will help to drive a mindset that is fully engaged, enthused, and motivated to drive continual change or continual improvements. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So anything else do you think there, Sarah Jane? Do you think we've covered that, or anything else you think we could add?
I think we've about covered it. I think
Mm.
we've introduced the idea of why you need a collaboration between change management and data analysis. We've underpinned it with some examples and we've talked
Yeah,
through some of the theory. And now all that's left is for you, kind people, to get in touch with us when
absolutely.
when you're ready for your program.
Absolutely. So please do contact either one of us. This is as Sarah Jane said, an exciting opportunity for both of us to come and help your organizations to help clean and collate that data that will also then inform what needs to change in your organization to kind of change that status quo and just to help your organization and your people grow. Thank you for listening.